Hey there, I'm Alan Matthews from Classical Guitar Shed, and in this video I've got some tips for you, and this is classical guitar tips for fingerstyle players. So if you're a fingerstyle player, if you like fingerpicking and doing these fingerpicking styles of music, then these are some right-hand tips for you to make that playing more conducive to beautiful, flowing, ergonomic, healthy right-hand technique. So I hope this helps. If you enjoy this, please do subscribe to this channel. Great, so in classical guitar, what we do is we nitpick on technique, right? How can I move my hands most efficiently? How can I get the sounds I want with the least amount of effort and energy and all this kind of stuff? With being informed by this, then I can recommend a few things for fingerstyle players so that if you're doing fingerstyle, which is mostly self-taught, fingerpicking and fingerstyle is mainly self-taught. I was a fingerstyle player before studying classical guitar, and I was self-taught. Or I was taught by other people who were self-taught, so there was not a tradition of it. Well, it's easy to get a lot of bad habits through there. So here are some things that you can do. The first two are don't do this. So first off, don't brace. Don't brace with the pinky. Regardless of who you know that does brace with the pinky, I can tell you without a doubt that this adds a lot of tension into your hand and it creates a bunch of unnecessary drag. So don't brace. Don't brace with the other fingers necessarily, and don't brace especially with the pinky. It makes it to where even just to play the strings you have to have a lot of tension in your hand. So first off and foremost, just don't brace. The second one, number two, is to avoid any sharp angles in your hand. So this type of angle, in any of your hands, this is just good ergonomics in general. Don't play from a point of extreme angles. This would be another one. So if you're bracing with the heel of your hand and playing like this, that's also a sharp angle. So just avoid sharp angles. Now, getting into the nitty-gritty of movement, ideally we move from the big knuckle. Now the other fingers still move, so the middle joint still follows through, but the motion is started and the force comes from the big knuckle. And you can test this by, if you're pulling up on the string like this, then this middle joint will come up in space. So if you reach around and touch it, then it'll bounce against your finger. If you move from the big knuckle, it'll just move straight away from your finger. So that is going to be, as you play faster, and if you want to play with much less tension, then moving from the big joint is where it's at. So move as much as possible from the big joint. To do that, that means that you have to get your wrist away from the top of the guitar. You can't brace down here and be really overly flat. There has to be some space right here in your guitar. The next tip is to be willing to do some slow practice. So just saying, even if you just have a basic finger picking pattern, right? Like the outside in pattern. Be willing to slow practice and look at how do my fingers follow through? When do they prepare on the strings? Can I do this with any more ease in my body? Am I tensing up my jaw when I do this? Or my shoulder, or my toes, or my tongue, or anything else? My eyes, are they hard? Am I leaning over like this? What's going on here? Slow practice can just give you the time to observe all the stuff that's going on, that if you're flying along, I'm a great player, then you're not going to have time to see any of the millions of little things that are actually happening along with that. So slow practice is a boon. A little bit each day just to check out and see what you can observe, release tension, look at, am I moving from the big knuckle? Do I want to brace whenever I get to that point? Is there a spot in that song where I tense up, or a particular left-hand chord if I'm playing a bar chord? Do I tense up with my right hand? Can I do it without tensing my right hand? All of these things we can work on, but only if we're going slow enough to be able to process what's going on while they're doing it. So slow practice is super good work. And the last tip for you is to not copy other fingerstyle players' technique. Even if they are the big guys, the famous and they're on Candy Rat or they're legends or whatever it is, chances are, if they're a fingerstyle player in the fingerstyle genre, with few exceptions, they have succeeded despite their technique and not because of their technique. So don't copy them. Even though you might love their music, even though they might do it beautifully, it doesn't mean that that's the route for you to get to playing beautifully as well. So you could do better to copy great classical players who have actually studied very intentionally right hand work from like traditional methods and from everything else, and have worked with educated people who have also studied this. So instead of copying your favorite players' technique, instead copy their energy, copy their drive, their practice habits, their motivation, in things like this, and then work on technique from, well, ideally, because I'm a classical player, I think it from a classical guitar perspective, because it's been more thought through and objectively criticized and chosen on purpose, as opposed to, I've always done it this way, so I'll keep doing it, and I'm great, and so therefore it's great. So don't copy your heroes. Don't copy your hero's technique anyway. All right, these are a handful of tips for you for playing fingerstyle guitar using classical guitar technique. I hope that helps. If you've enjoyed it, please do subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.